Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this video, we'll be doing this nice cute little spring mug. I don't know about where you are, but it's finally spring where I live. So I decided to do this cute little cheerful mug for the play kitchen. If you've seen my videos before, you know that I love to make mugs for the play kitchen for any occasion. So this is the one that came up for spring. If you are interested in seeing more, be sure to check my channel and my blog. I have a lot more free patterns available as well. And with that said, let's get started. So for this mug, I used acrylic yarn, light acrylic yarn. You can really use anything you want and the appropriate size of hook. So it's great to use what you stash. I use light yarn. This is Patrons Astra and a 3mm hook throughout. You'll also need a stitch marker, some scissors, a needle, and a little bit of stuffing material as well. So for this mug, we'll do a little bit of color work, but first we need to start with the base of the mug. And we're going to start with a magic ring, and we're going to crochet 6 single crochet into the magic ring. I'm going to go with my first single crochet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then you pull your tail, close the hole, and for round 2, we're going to increase round. So we are going to insert our hook in every stitch and do 2 single crochet per stitch. So that's my first single crochet in the first stitch, going back in the same stitch for another single crochet. I'm going to place my stitch marker on the first stitch that I've done. Then in my second stitch, again, we're going to do 2 single crochet, 1, 2. Repeat that on the third stitch. 1 single crochet, going back in the same stitch for another single crochet. And as you can see, I like to crochet over my magic ring tail to make it nice and secure. And going back for 1, 2 again in the next stitch. We have 2 stitches left. Again, an increase in the stitch and finish with another increase in the last stitch. Then I grab the tail again, pull tight, close the hole, and my magic ring is nice and secure throughout. For round 3, we're going to do 1 single crochet and in the second stitch an increase. So 1 single crochet, go back in the same stitch to make your increase. And we repeat that around. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, an increase in the next. So that means 2 single crochet in this one. Going back for my second. Then 1 single crochet in the next. Increase in the next stitch. 1, 2. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Increase in the next. 1 single crochet in the next stitch. Increase in the next. And we have 2 stitches left, so repeat that pattern. 1 single crochet in the second to last stitch. And in our last stitch, we finish with our increase. 1 and 2. We will have 18 stitches at the end of this round. For round 4, here we're going to do 2 single crochet followed by increase. So first single crochet in the first stitch, second stitch, another single crochet. In our third stitch here, we're going to do our increase. So 1 single crochet, going back in the same stitch for a second one. And we do that again. 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, so that's 2, and in the next our increase. 1, 2. One more time. 1 single crochet in the next, 1 single crochet in the next for 2, followed by an increase. So you repeat that around 3 more times until your stitch count is at 24. So 2 single crochets followed by an increase, and I'll meet you back for round 5. So for round 5, our pattern will be 3 single crochets followed by an increase. So 1 single crochet in the next stitch, second stitch or second single crochet, third stitch, third single crochet, which means that our fourth stitch will be our increase, 1 and 2. And we repeat that around, 1, 2, 3 single crochet, followed by an increase. One single crochet in the next stitch, one single crochet in the next stitch, one single crochet in the next stitch for 3, followed by an increase 1 and 2. So you continue that around 3 single crochets followed by an increase until your stitch count is now at 30, and I'll meet you back for round 6. Next up, round 6, so this time we'll be doing 4 single crochets followed by an increase. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, 1 single crochet in the third stitch, 1 single crochet in the fourth stitch, and our fifth stitch we'll be doing an increase. So 2 single crochet in the fifth one. And again, so 1, 2, 3, 4 single crochets. Next stitch will be an increase. So go back, put 2 single crochet in that one. 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 single crochet in the next stitch, 1 more for 4, followed by increase. So you continue that all around, 4 single crochets followed by an increase until your stitch count at the end of this round is at 36. Round 7 is our last increase round. In this case, we'll be doing 5 single crochets followed by an increase. So again, we start with 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, 1 single crochet in the third stitch, 1 single crochet in the fourth stitch, 1 single crochet in the fifth stitch, followed by an increase in the sixth. So 1 and 2 in the sixth. And we start that over again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by our increase 1 and 2. One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, followed by an increase 1 and 2. So continue that all around, 5 single crochets followed by an increase until your stitch count at the end of this round is at 42, excuse me. Okay, so for round 8, we're going to crochet in the back loops only. So what I'm showing you here is the loop closest to you, which is the front loop. What we want is the loop furthest away from us, and that's the back loop. So for this round, round 8, we're going to crochet in the back loops only. We're just going to do a row of single crochet, keeping our stitch count at 42. Just 1 single crochet per stitch, but crocheting in the back loops only. Okay, now for rounds 9 to 18, we're finally ready to do our color work. This is the chart that we're going to follow throughout. It is available on my blog for free. I'll link it below if you want your own copy. We will start at round 9 here. I did clip the round 8 on the one on my blog because we just done that. So we'll start at round 9. If you need a little bit more, if it's your first time doing color work, reading a crochet chart, I do have a video going into more details how to read the crochet chart. I will link that in the description box as well if you're interested. But for us, the first round we're going to follow is round 9. And this is just a round of purple, as you can see. So we're going to carry on with our purple. And also throughout the chart, each of the stitch is done in the back loop only. So throughout all of the chart, keep crocheting in the back loop only. And for row 9, we're just going to do a row of purple. So we're just basically redoing row 8 through the back loops only, crocheting around simply with our purple. So here I'm almost done with the end of row 9, and I can see at my row 10 I have a color change. So I'm going to grab, before I finish row 9, I'm going to grab my yellow yarn and I'm going to crochet over the yellow yarn for a couple of stitches to make it nice and secure. That way I don't have to weave in my ends later, and I'm all about that. I don't know about you. And here, before I finish my last stitch, before I complete it, I'm going to grab my yellow yarn and finish my stitch with my color change. So I'm ready to start round 10, excuse me, with my yellow yarn. And for round 10, we just do one round of yellow yarn all around. So repeat that pattern all around, using our yellow yarn. So again, here I'm crocheting in the back loops only, 1 single crochet per stitch, keeping your stitch count at 42. Okay, round 11. For round 11, our chart tells us to do the first first stitch in yellow, then next stitch in purple. So first stitch in yellow, then we drop our yarn, switch over to purple. Next stitch is the purple. And also this is done in the back loops only. Drop our purple to the yellow. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 stitches in yellow. So 1, 2, 3. And since here actually is going to be 5, since we're repeating that pattern, it's a good idea to carry your yarn so you don't have any tension problems. And I just trap my extra yarn in the back. I do have a video with more detail about it if you are interested. So we make 4 stitches of yellow and then we restart that pattern again. So first stitch in yellow and second stitch in purple, followed by 4 stitches in yellow. 1, 2, 3. Here I'm going to catch my yarn, and 4. Do that again. First stitch in yellow, switch over to purple, switch over to yellow, and then 4 stitches in yellow. I like to carry my yarn. I wouldn't go more than 3 or 4 stitches apart without carrying your yarn, unless you can also leave a big float inside, but it tends to get caught and I don't like that. But it's totally up to you. Continue that pattern all around of 1 yellow, 1 purple, followed by 4 yellows, and I'll meet you just before the start of round 12. So here I'm almost done with round 11, but I can see that my round 12 I'll start with a different color. So before I finish my last stitch of round 11, I'm going to do my color change to make sure the purple is ready for my round 13. So now we're ready for 13. For 13 we'll be doing purple, yellow, purple, followed by 3 yellow. So we start with a purple, switch over to yellow, next stitch is a yellow, switch your color to purple, next stitch is a purple, switch your color to yellow. So the first 3 stitches are done. Again, this is all done in the back loops only. And next is 3 yellow, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to start that again. So we switch our color to purple. Next stitch is a purple. We switch our color to yellow. Next stitch is a yellow. Before it's done, finish our color to purple. Next is purple, followed by 3 yellow. 1, 2, 3. Switch over to purple. One more time, purple in the first stitch. Switch to yellow. Yellow in the next. Switch to purple. Purple in the next stitch. Switch to yellow, followed by 3 yellow. So you have to find a way to manage your yarn. I like to carry mine around. You can leave big floats, as I said, or you can also crochet over your yarn your entire time. It could be useful if you're a beginner as well. It might be a little bit easier. However, if you're using, depending on the color, sometimes you can see the color peep through. So that's why that's not my favorite. I prefer to carry my yarn, but it's totally personal and totally up to you. So this is what my piece is looking like so far. Next up is round 13. We will start with a stitch of yellow, a stitch of purple, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 of yellow again. So first stitch is yellow, switch over to purple. Next stitch is purple, switch over to yellow. Followed by four. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to carry in my yarn and start over. First stitch is a yellow. So we'll check 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and then we start over. So speaking of a pattern, yellow, switch over to purple. Next stitch is a purple, switch over to yellow, followed by 4 yellows. 1, 2, 3, 4. I like to carry my yarn here. And we start that over again. 1 yellow, switch over to purple. 1 purple, switch over to yellow, followed by 4 yellows. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So continue that, repeat that around, and I'll meet you back for round 14. Okay, round 14 is basically the reverse that we've just done. So it's 4 yellows followed by a purple followed by a yellow. So here, I think it's been a while that I carried my yarn, so I'm going to carry my yarn in the first stitch. So 1 yellow, that's 2, 3, 4, switch over to purple. Again, this is all done in the back loops only. 1 purple, switch over to yellow, and 1 yellow. Then we start over that pattern, back with 4 yellows, 1, I'm going to carry my yarn, 2, 3, oops, start over again, 4, switch over to purple, 1 purple in the next stitch, 1 yellow in the next stitch. One more time, we do 4 yellows, 1, 2, carry your yarn, 3, 4, switch over to purple, next stitch in purple, followed by next stitch, switch over to yellow, and the next stitch is yellow. So again, carry that around, 4 yellows, followed by 1 purple, followed by 1 yellow. Next up, round 15, we start with 3 yellows, followed by purple, followed by yellow, followed by purple. So first stitch is a yellow, 1. Next stitch is a yellow, 2. Next stitch is a yellow, 3. Switch over to purple. 1 purple in the next. Switch over to yellow. 1 yellow in the next. Switch over to purple. 1 purple in the next. Switch back to yellow. And we start that over. So 3 single crochet. 3 single crochet in the back loops in yellow. So 1, 2, 3, color change to purple, 1 in purple in the next stitch, switch to yellow, 1 in yellow in the next stitch, switch to purple, 1 purple in the next stitch, switch to yellow, and carry that again one more time. 1, 2, 3 yellows, color change to purple, next stitch is in purple, switch to yellow, next stitch is in yellow, switch to purple, next stitch is in purple, and switch to yellow to carry that around. Just repeat that all around. I'll meet you back for the next round. Round 16 is next. We start with 4 yellows, followed by 1 purple, followed by 1 yellow. So make sure you have your color changed to yellow before we start this round. And then we start with 4, again in the back loop only, 4 single crochets of yellows. 1, 2, 3, carry your yarn. 4, switch your yarn to purple, next stitch is a purple, switch your yarn to yellow, next stitch is a yellow, and repeat that around. So 1, 2, 3, carry your yarn, 4, switch to purple, next is a purple, switch to yellow, 1 yellow, the next, and repeat that around. So repeat that around, 4 in yellow, 1 in purple, 1 in yellow. Don't forget to carry your yarn. I'll meet you back for the next round. Okay, round 17 is just 1 round of yellow. So here we can actually drop the purple and we'll grab it back later because we don't need to carry it throughout. And here we're going to do 1 single crochet per stitch, again in the back loop only, just crocheting with our yellow yarn, so no color change till the very end for this round. But yeah, 1 single crochet per stitch with your yellow, and in your last stitch be sure to be ready to change to purple in the very last stitch so we can start round 18 with the purple. So here I'm just finishing up round 17 with my yellow. So for my last stitch I'm going to start my yellow, but before I finish I'm going to complete the stitch with the purple to do my color change. Round 18 is the same thing as the previous round except in purple. And in this case, this was the last time that we needed the yellow yarn. So here I'm going to crochet over it for a couple of stitches to secure it in place before I cut it off. But what you want here in this round is a round of purple single crochet in every stitch in the back loop only again. And if you want, you can crochet a little bit over your yellow yarn for a couple of stitches. Then I'm going to cut my yellow yarn because I won't need it again. And crochet all around with the purple. Here I cut the yarn. There we go. Next for round 19, we're done with our crochet chart, so we can put that away. For round 17, we're again going to crochet in the back loops only, and we're going to do 5 single crochets followed by a decrease. So in the first stitch, that's 1 single crochet, next stitch, another single crochet, next stitch, third single crochet, next stitch, fourth single crochet, next stitch, fifth single crochet, and using the next 2 stitches we're going to do a decrease. So again, repeat that till the end of the round, 5 single crochets followed by a decrease, and our stitch count will be down to 36 at the end of this round. Next round 20 is the last round for the mug, and what we're going to do in this round is crochet in the front loops only, so be sure to grab the loops that's closest to you. And we're going to crochet through the front loops only, 1 single crochet per stitch, no increase, no decrease. Keep your stitch count at 36, doing 1 single crochet per stitch in the front loops only. At the end of this round, you can cut the yarn, leave a little bit of a tail. We're going to finish with an invisible decrease. I think I'll show you that later. And next we're going to move on to how to do our handle. So for the handle, I chose my purple yarn again, and we're going to start by doing 6 single crochet in a magic ring again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just double checking, 1 more, and 6. Again, pull your tail to close the hole. And here for our second round, instead of increasing like we did with the mug, we're just going to do 1 single crochet per stitch, keeping a stitch count at 6. So just go around 1 single crochet per stitch, keeping a stitch count at 6. And you basically repeat that from row 2 till row 18 until you create a very long tube that we're going to then attach to the mug. So make sure you keep your stitch marker to keep track. 1 stitch per stitch, so keeping it 6 throughout from round 2 till round 18. And at the end of round 18, this is what your handle should look like, a long tube. Once you're done, you can cut your yarn, leave an extra piece of yarn at the attach so we can sew it to the body of the mug. And next you want to do the coffee. So using brown yarn, you just repeat the instruction of the mug round 1 till 6. And here to finish the mug, we're gonna first skip the next stitch and then insert our yarn into the next stitch and go back through the working stitch, and that creates an invisible finish. So our yarn doesn't kind of have that bump of if you finish by chain 1, for example. I prefer it like this, but it's totally up to you again. I'm going to weave in my hands a couple of times, make it nice and secure, and leave it on the inside of the mug. So next what we want to do is go find the back loops, that were left from our last round. So in the last round of the mug, we crocheted in the front loops only, which left the back loops behind. So find those back loops, and that's through those back loops that we're going to stitch in our coffee. So go through every loop, going back and forth between the back loop and the coffee to stitch in place. Do that until you maybe 3/4 of the way done, and then we're going to fill our mug with stuffing. So before our mug is totally closed, we want to grab some stuffing, put that inside the mug till it's nice and all stuffed, and then you can finish stitching up the coffee into the inside of the mug, and then we'll do attach the handle next. So for the handle, find a position that you like and a shape that you like. Sometimes I do just a half circle like I'm going to do in this instance. Sometimes I kind of tuck the top back so it's kind of a heart shape. It's totally up to you and what you prefer. In this case, I'm just going to do a regular kind of half moon shape and just sew the top using the needle and the yarn that was still attached with my handle, and then I'm going to weave in the yarn through the mug so I can attach the bottom next. Okay, so that's your mug all done. There's one thing that I like to do to finish is sometimes I stitched kind of milk swirled using some white yarn. You can stitch in a milk swirl kind of in the top of the coffee. You can check on my blog for some example of that. Or in this case, I'm going to create a little bit of smoke. And to do that, I just grab a little bit of a yarn tail, just knot it and secure it into place. So it creates kind of two strands. And then I'm going to grab a cat slicker brush or an animal brush that has metal teeth like that and just brush the yarn until it creates kind of change separates the strands of the yarn and kind of creates the smoke of the coffee, if you will. So that's basically, once that's done, that's basically your mug all finished. Let me know in the comment how you finished your mug, if you let it plain or with a smoke or something else. Let me know in the comment, I'd like to know. As I said, I have mugs for any occasion and every holiday. So if you're looking for one, just check my channel. I have a lot on my channel already, and I have more on my blog as well. If there is something that you would like or a suggestion, please let me know in the comment. I'd love to create it for you as well. And I hope you enjoyed this mug in the meantime and have a fun time playing it in your spring play kitchen. If you like this tutorial, please don't forget to subscribe before you go, and I'll see you in the next video real soon. Thanks for stopping by.